Good morning and welcome to the interview presented by New Horizons of Wisconsin. Now, it's not what you know, but who you know. Have you ever heard that before? And when it comes to finding a job, your personal connections and your contacts can make all the difference on the job that you get. Because, spoiler alert, not every job out there is listed on a message board. Sometimes the best opportunities are the ones that never get published on LinkedIn or Indeed or wherever you're trying to find your next position. But if you've heard of networking, but it kind of freaks you out, today's show is for you because we have networking expert Lorry Rifkin from Clarity Management and Lunch with Lorry here to explain it to you and help you get ahead and land that great job of the future. Welcome to the interview presented by New Horizons Computer Learning Center of Wisconsin. I'm your host, Pat Miller, the Idea Coach. Now, this show is a one-on-one interview and a Q&A, which means, hello, you're a part of the show too. We want you to get your questions in so you can improve your career and grow your future. If you're serious about getting a new gig, don't forget the thousands of training courses New Horizons can offer you to up-level your skills from an intro to computers you can take right on your mobile device, to Windows training, to immersive technology courses to prep you in the growing fields of cloud computing and cybersecurity. New Horizons is making computer training simple and fun so you can get a job better than you can even imagine. Learn more about them at newhorizonswi.com. The show is also sponsored by Forward Careers. Looking to launch a new career or change careers, but not sure right where to start? Forward Careers is the spot. They are the preferred source for career exploration, education, and skill training, and employment connections for every person and business. Forward Careers is a team of workforce professionals that specialize in providing high quality, effective, and accessible career services to individuals seeking to improve their employment in demand-driven and high-growth professions. To find more, visit them online at forwardcareers.org. Funding is provided by the Department of Labor Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, H-1B Tech Hire Grant, Department of Corrections Windows to Work, and Children and Families Independent Living. With all of that behind us, let's get down to what you need to know. How can you become a better networker? Welcome to the show, my friend and guest, Lorry Rifkin of Lunch with Lorry and Clarity Management. Lorry, good morning, pal. It's been a minute since I've seen you. How you been?
I'm doing great, and it's a pleasure being on your show, Pat, and more of a pleasure to be able to help your listeners looking for a job, because I've been in that boat many times, and I've learned a lot over the years that it is the people you know who help you get a job, not necessarily having a resume.
For sure. And you look at networking in a way that's a little bit different than others. So let's just start at the beginning. When someone says networking, how do you interpret networking? What does a good job look like when someone's going out to network in your world?
Well, I have a definition of networking. It is different. Networking is sales of the most important product in the world, and that's yourself. So whether you like it or not, it is a sales function. And sometimes people have to be trained in sales. And that's why I put a lot of time in training people on networking, because at the end of the day, networking is sales. You are selling yourself as a person to others you meet, so they want to have a relationship with you.
That's fair enough. And I think that's different than what some people think about. Some people think about, oh, I need to get business cards and I need to find someone that can hire me. You're saying just making sure people know who you are and why you're special. Is that the right way to think about it? Or is it a different definition than that?
I would say who you are as a person, because networking is about relationships. And we always first think of a relationship to get a job, relationship to get business. But thinking about it as a relationship, just to know somebody, have something in common, at the end of the day, that's a more powerful and lasting relationship that delivers what you need at the end of the day.
So why do people not think that way in the first place? I think people have a negative perception when it comes to networking. Where did all that come from?
I have two theories on that. One, many people try networking and don't see instantaneous results. And so they say this doesn't work. And then there's the second school, introverts. I'm an introvert. When I first started networking, it terrorized me. So I never gave it a fair chance. I never thought I could be successful at it. No one ever gave me tips or tricks or tools to allow me as an introvert to network as good as an extrovert. So those are the two main things I see, Pat, out there.
And that's a good point about introvert and extrovert, because if you are an introvert, you got to go out there and sell yourself and you got to go out there and make those connections. So, before we get to what does it take to be good at networking, can we touch on that just a little bit? If you are an introvert, that adds another barrier to go out and meet people you don't know. As an introvert yourself, how do you deal with it?
After years of searching for it, I'm talking 30, 40 years, the answer was so simple. You are an actor in a play at a networking event or when you go networking for 1 hour. All you do have to do is act the part for a short period of time. Then you could go back to your introverted shell like I do. But in that hour that you're acting, you are as good as any extrovert out there.
It's a good way to look at it. And when you get done with that 1 hour, how do you do the self care that's required to come back down? What do you do?
Well, let's go step back 1 second. Extroverts, they are just full of energy. They give out energy. Introverts, to network, it takes away energy from them. So when I come home after I'm done acting that part, I come home, sit in my reclining chair, turn off the TV, turn off the lights, turn off all sound, and this maybe for a half hour to an hour, sit and recharge my batteries.
And that works. That's enough. Half hour to an hour, kind of just come down, relax, recharge. That's what works for you.
That's what works for me. Other people might have to go take a walk, but it's just recharging. Introverts have to recharge after meeting a group of people. Extroverts gain energy from that group of people. My wife goes to a networking event. She comes home and dials 30 girlfriends. They were wearing this. I saw this dress. We had great food. That's the difference. It doesn't mean one is good or bad. They both have different approaches to be successful.
That's great. All right. Well, let's get down to it then. If you're a job seeker, you're trying to find your next big opportunity, let's start getting some advice directly to them. If I were trying to find a job, what are some of the best tips that you would tell me when it comes to networking and meeting people?
Well, first, we're going to go a little bit out of order. You got to understand that networking is based on science and math, and people never think of it that way. It's an exponential function. That means it takes a long period of time for the accumulation of your little tiny successes to build up. So if you're going to go out there and network for a job, understand it's a 6 to 12 month process. The second part is the science behind it. It's based on the laws of conservation of energy, and that says you can't create or destroy energy, but you could transfer it. So you need to give energy to your network. It's the opposite of what people think. People go to network and want to take energy from the network. They want to take a job. They want to take a business. It's the opposite. You have to give before you can even take. And so it's like charging a battery. You have to constantly be giving to your network over an extended period of time, and then you'll see results. Those are like laws of nature. You can't violate them. You can't change them. Some people start maybe a little farther ahead than others, but those are the laws. And that's why many people give up, because they try to violate those two laws.
But what does that look like? If you don't know anybody in a room and you're there to try and win favor so you can get a job, how do you add energy to that room? Give us some practical ideas on what that means.
Well, you have to give. So I'll give you an example. If you're looking for a job, one of the best ways to look for a job is to become a subject matter expert. You are giving advice and helping others. Help someone less fortunate in their job search. Volunteer. You have to give. Offer to buy someone lunch. It's the giving that gets you to taking. Most people network upside down. They immediately go for the tank. And I know that because I did that. When I was unemployed years ago, I'd meet somebody early in my conversation and say, "Do you know anyone looking to hire in my position?" That doesn't work. Yes, there are some success cases from that. It would have been better saying, "How could I help you? Tell me about yourself." It should always be about the other person, not yourself. So that's counterintuitive, but that's what really drives networking success.
I think it's also realizing what you do have to give. If you're trying to find a job that's better than the one you have now, maybe you have a personal passion or an expertise that you could help them. So in the course of the conversation, it comes out, and let's say you're really good at writing email marketing in your current position, but you want to go get a better job, or you're really good at building this piece of technology, but you want a promotion. You may be talking to someone that's curious about what you already know. So you're giving them advice or information about what you're a subject matter expert on. Am I hearing you right?
Correct. And the key, there's a couple of things. I'm going to go backwards a little bit. You need a networking persona. Most people have a networking pitch. But a networking persona is what you could give people, how you are different, because people remember people are different, and your pitch. And then you got to combine that with a network marketing plan. You got to have some plan of what you're going to do. And when you put that together and go out, the key to finding out about people is asking questions. I always call it a series of cascading questions, and they're not about the job you want. They're about the person you're talking to. What are their likes? What are their dislikes? Because imagine, say, I like fishing, and I'm interviewing. I want to interview for a job, and I'm talking to people all over. And I ask what are their hobbies, and I find 5 or 6 people who like fishing as a hobby, and I start talking to them. Then later on, I could ask for a job. They're going to be more interested in helping me because we have common ground established. So the key is asking questions about people on a personal level. I always tell people you have to go out there and network. Jobs and business will come, but if you push it to the front end, which 99% of people do, it's going to be a hard road because people smell that. If you just come up to me, want me to help you right away, I don't even know you. I don't even know if I can
Mhm.
recommend you. You need to step back, do this strategically when you network, especially looking for a job.
So this reframing a little bit about how you give energy to the network, where you focus on the other person and learn as much as you can about them. That's a very cool point, and that's very helpful. Let's make sure we don't gloss over the what we have to give. So we're remembering what we're a subject matter expert in or what we can talk about that might be helpful to the other person. But if we want to go back to someone that's just now starting their job search or they're starting to use networking as a part of their job search, you mentioned a plan. You have to have a plan about where you're going to go and what you're going to do. Help us build one of those for someone that's maybe not as advanced or further down the networking trail as other people that you talk to.
Okay, so one thing is to somewhat, if you're looking for a job in, say, manufacturing, there's multiple manufacturing networking events that go on. I would search for manufacturing network events. I would get on the list to be able to attend those versus in person or virtual. And I would start showing up and then apply some of the techniques I told you. Ask questions, become a subject matter expert. If you show up enough time, and that's one thing, you have to show up consistently. Many job seekers I met over the years who've asked for help come to a networking event once or twice, and as soon as they get a job, they're gone. I
Mhm.
will never help those people again. They only showed up that they weren't giving, they only showed up for their benefit. If you're going to join those groups and have a group you're going to go to as part of your plan, be a member for the long term because you never know if you get a new job tomorrow and a second wave of COVID hits and puts you out of work. You don't want to be the one coming back to that group looking for a job again. You want to be the one who's in that group who people know you want to help you for your next job.
Oh man, can we not say second waves? That's just it made my skin crawl. Let's just let's
If
not say that.
I
Okay,
understand.
but I like what you're saying. So if you're looking to get a job in this certain field, where are those leaders meeting? Find a consistent schedule to get there, and then show up. And I've heard you say that before too. That showing up is everything, and especially when you don't need something. Can you touch on that?
Yes, because that's part of giving. If you're always helping a network group, if you're always showing up, if you volunteer to be on a committee, for example, people are going to know you as a giver. And when you need something, they already know that you give and they're going to want to recommend you because they've seen how you help the organization. But like I tell everyone in networking, the most important thing in networking is starting.
So we've talked about some in-person events or maybe virtual events and how to show up, how to conduct yourself when you're talking to someone else. Really valuable stuff. I want to ask you about LinkedIn in a moment because I know you're a big LinkedIn advocate. But before we do that, we've got a question from Brian. So Brian wants to know what are some things someone can do after a networking event with individuals to follow up. So how can you follow up with the folks that you're talking to at these networking events to leave a lasting impression?
Well, one, I would always get people's business cards, so you have their contact information. I would connect them on LinkedIn, but in the connection note, I would put some customized thing. It was a pleasure meeting you at the networking event. If there's any way I could ever help you, please let me know. And if you're interested in a one-on-one meeting, I'd love to buy you breakfast or lunch. Notice what I said. I didn't ask for help for myself, how I could help them.
Mhm.
And I asked them for a one-on-one meeting because I have a thing for job seekers. I'll call it ditch the resume for 2 weeks and only do network one-on-one meetings. and get 100 meetings under your belt and tell me how that feels in your job search. Because when you send out resumes, it goes in the bottomless pit of that resume tornado or vortex. When you meet people one-on-one, you get instant feedback. And to end your one-on-one meetings, I even do this to this day, ask, what could I have done better to prepare for this meeting? Is there any suggestions you have for me? Ask for that feedback, because when you submit a resume, you get zero feedback.
And that's the truth. And you're oftentimes filling out a web form and you go into some database someplace and you never hear from them and then you get angry. People that spend days and days and days and days and days filling out online applications and never hearing anything, using a different strategy. And you've talked about this. 100 meetings sounds like overwhelming. But after 100 meetings, wouldn't you think that someone's going to find a better job or a more specialized job than they would have if they were just cruising Indeed trying to find a position?
Well, let me go back a second. Not only are you going to find a job, my networking viewpoint is very broad. Networking helps you find jobs, business, vendors, and friends. They're probably going to get some friends out of 100 meetings. They might find vendors they could bring to another job. If they do those 100 meetings and really get to know people, it's going to enrich their life overall. And I'm a believer, if you meet people and enrich your life, you will get what you want at the end of the day.
I guess my last thought on in-person events or virtual events, networking events, is maybe people don't like networking because to do it right, it's actual work. Like you have to show up, you have to follow up, you have to keep track of who you talk to, you have to give. You're not just going to magically appear and people give you things. Is that one reason why people shy away from doing it right?
It could be because networking and looking for a job is the hardest job in the world.
Hmm.
But there are ways to make it easier. Can I do a shameless plug?
Please do
Someone's
a
looking
plug,
for a
Lori.
job, come to a lunch or Lorry event, because you'll meet 20 people at a personal level instantaneously. It's upside down networking. You have to answer personal questions about yourself so everyone knows who you are as a person, and everyone connects before the meeting. So once you come to a meeting, you already know everybody. And when you're done, you have people who know you, like you, and you start a relationship. That's a great type of networking event to go find a job. Most events don't do that. They don't ask questions before you register, and they don't have you connect before you come. That's why I call how I teach networking upside down, and why it's more powerful, especially for job seekers, because building relationship is the key to having people like you and wanting to help you. And if you're looking for a job, you need help from people.
And it's more important to be known, liked, and trusted than maybe even what you know. Like I opened the show, who you know is more important than what you know. And that's really what you're saying is that you meet people on a personal level and they might be more willing to give you a chance or an opportunity if they know, like, and trust you.
That's 100% correct.
Okay. Let's switch to a tactical thing, a tool, LinkedIn. You're a huge LinkedIn advocate. If you're a job seeker on LinkedIn, yes, we talked about networking, but can you talk about using LinkedIn to enhance your networking follow up or finding people you should be networking? Like, how should a job seeker be using LinkedIn on their career search?
Well, because I'm the upside down networking guy. First, I would tell you establish some kind of subject matter expertise, be publishing articles, helping other people, commenting. So before you actually go into job search on LinkedIn, establish yourself as somebody people want to connect with. If I was a potential hiring manager and I see somebody, let's just say, who's publishing all kinds of stuff about supply chain disruption, how to get around it, strategies to minimize it, and I'm looking for a supply chain expert, and you connect with me on LinkedIn, and I read those articles, I'm going to say, this guy, he's publishing, he knows what he's doing. He's not even, doesn't even have a job, and he's helping others in the industry. I'm going to want to talk to him. So you need to have a presence on LinkedIn, not just, I'll call like Wayne Bright writes, is resume type setup on your LinkedIn page. I never set up my LinkedIn profile correct, even to this day, but I have tons of followers. I'm a believer that content overrules sometimes having a perfect profile. So put good content out there. If you're not good at writing content, comment and like in a nice way and an informed way on other people's content. Be known as that giver on LinkedIn like you would in person, and then use LinkedIn to search out people and search out jobs. But having that background set up on LinkedIn that you have a persona on LinkedIn, I think is important before you immediately use LinkedIn to go search for jobs.
I think that's a very undervalued strategy is to be the number one fan on LinkedIn. You don't need to cut videos or write blogs or anything. If you're active on there every day, engaging with people that are creating content, connecting people that should know one another, and cheering people on that are doing things, that's a fast way to get noticed, especially for some of the biggest people that you can think of. Everybody wants a fan. And if you're showing up to support others and lift them up, you're going to get noticed in a hurry.
You will, and also use LinkedIn groups, find specialty groups in areas that you want a job in. I think that's very important. But and again, I would highly suggest everyone's different to some degree. Write some content. It doesn't have to be perfect. That held me back for years on LinkedIn. I thought the content had to be perfect. The real thing is starting is more important than having perfect content. You'll get better over time. No one expects you to be the best the day you start, but you have to start and be consistent. So I encourage people to spend a little time every day on LinkedIn if you're going to use it for a job source, but develop that LinkedIn persona as you go so you have something for people to look at when they find you on LinkedIn too. Which brings one other point. If you're a subject matter expert, people search you out over time. It's a lot easier to find a job when people are looking for you than you're looking for the job. That's why I'm really strong on a subject matter expertise to some degree, because that helps change the outbound always looking to inbound. People are interested in what you're doing. I get inbound things for people to ask me, can you do a financial presentation? Can you do a networking presentation? That's because establishing myself as a subject matter expert brought people to me. So it is important to do that. Some people say, well, I just can't do it. I don't want to do that. But then you have to accept this one basic fact too. If you're like everyone else and don't want to do it, you're a commodity. Commodities don't get premium pay and don't get premium access to the best jobs. You're right when you said in the beginning, many jobs are in the hidden job market. People who are a commodity are not going to find those jobs. So I highly encourage you, get out of the commodity mindset. I did it. I'm a core introvert. No one believes that. If I could do it, your listeners can do it.
All right. So this is terrific information. What we should be doing with virtual and in-person events, how we should value what we bring to the table, how to talk to someone that we don't know, how to behave on LinkedIn. All of this stuff is amazing. We're almost out of time. Is there anything else that we haven't covered yet that you want to make sure that you're sharing with the job seeker that's trying to network their way to a position?
Well, one, I would tell every person who's networking for a job or looking for a job to connect with me on LinkedIn, because you never know if I have a post or something to comment on. I would encourage you to come to a Lunch with Lorry event and meet 20 people, because there's no cost to do that. And you will meet 20 people on a personal level. And if you really want to get good at networking, I have an online course to teach you how to network. It's all my tips and tricks and a 125-page workbook that I have learned over the years. And if you don't get any value on it, I'll give you your money back.
That's amazing. Lorry Rifkin, Lunch with Lorry, thanks for being on the show. It's great to see you again, my friend.
Always glad to help your listeners, Pat. Take care.
My pleasure. All right. So that is what you need to know if you're trying to network your way to a position. Lorry is the expert, and I've been to one of his Lunch with Lorry events before, and it will change the way that you look at networking moving forward. So I encourage you to find him on LinkedIn and get connected. If you'd like to improve your chances of landing a great job, make sure to check out newhorizonswi.com and chat with our training staff. They're standing by right now. Like literally, go to the website and test us. Put in the chat, hey, are you guys there? Yes, we're there. We're standing by to help match you with the training you need to land a terrific new opportunity. That's newhorizonswi.com. Also, thanks to our sponsor, Forward Careers. Thank you for tuning in to this month's show. If you're out there networking for a position, we wish you lots of luck. I'm Pat Miller, the Idea Coach. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.